Roblox Battlegrounds games have evolved quite a bit over the past year, and I don't really know if I can say if it was for better or for worse. There's the top games that are solidified as the only ones worth playing, as represented by their player counts in the high thousands, even in the 10,000s, and then there's the Battlegrounds games that only get around 1,000 players or less on average. Nobody pays attention to these games. Why? Well, there's lots of stuff that determines a game's success, not just Battlegrounds, just in general. The most common problem with these smaller Battlegrounds games is that there's always something very specific there that makes you not want to keep playing it more. With the more popular games, yeah, you might rage quit sometimes, but you often find yourself rejoining into a new server instead of just stopping altogether. Every time I search for the strongest Battlegrounds, I see these other Battlegrounds games just sitting there with a fraction of the player count and I shrug them off. It never really occurred to me to think about what makes them stay so much smaller, so I went to check a few of them out for myself, just to see what's really going on here. And I just want to disclose, I'm not being paid, there's no sponsors, these are my honest opinions on the games that I'm about to mention. I'm gonna go a little bit off topic here because I feel like I need to mention the games that I've been paid to make a video on, since I never really mentioned it in the actual videos I made. I've been paid to make a video on Unlimited Battlegrounds, basically every single Key Battlegrounds video, I think, and a Bleach Battlegrounds game from sometime last year. I only accepted Robux from those games as I actually enjoy them. I would never get sponsored or paid to make a video on a game I don't like or don't have faith in because that's stupid. If I don't like it, then there's a fat chance that you won't like it either. Now let's look at some games.
I don't think this asparagus has the energy left to withstand that, do you?
If you remember this video I made about DBZ Battlegrounds, then you probably remember that the game was made by a guy called P4K. It turns out that after leaving DBZ Battlegrounds, he went and created a new game at some point called Curse Battlegrounds. Jujutsu Kaisen Battlegrounds games have been in a really weird spot for a long time. Most were way too similar to each other, and there were just too many of them. This changed when Jujutsu Shenanigans came out, and now JJK fans have a good game to rely on. Curse Battlegrounds, on the other hand, got the short end of the stick. It's pretty much always at 800 players, sometimes above and sometimes below. I always saw it when I looked for other Battlegrounds games, but I never really bothered to try it. I regret that now because this game is actually super smooth. I will say, it is definitely up there with some of the smoothest Battlegrounds games out right now. It's like an improved version of DBZ Battlegrounds. In the video I mentioned before, I talked about how DBZ Battlegrounds was really helped by its sound effects and attention to detail and its animations, which made it actually feel like Dragon Ball. This sort of applies to this game too, but not to the same extent. Not every attack has the same impact as the others. I'm thankful that my camera doesn't go crazy whenever I'm fighting though, because for some reason, Battlegrounds devs love to give you motion sickness with the crazy camera movement they add to their games. Please stop. I'm talking about you, Jujutsu Shenanigans. Please add an option to turn that crap off. It's nauseating. The movesets in Curse Battlegrounds are pretty decent. They're not too large scale or effect heavy or anything like that, which I think is part of the reason this game isn't as popular as the others. The base movesets are super smooth and fun to use, but the ultimates are kind of lackluster and aren't all that exciting. The strongest Battlegrounds really did set the standard for ultimate awakenings, which few games have come close to meeting, I will mention. And there's so many other games that have much better ultimates than this game. At least the Hollow Purple looks better than most of the other games, and it's kind of funny how the DBZ Battlegrounds Hollow Purple is like 10 times better. And I should probably mention that this game is more on the chill side. When you enter the map, it's not very alive. It's very large, and usually the servers aren't full enough. They're not saturated with enough people to make the map feel right. So sometimes you're just standing somewhere and then you're like trying to find someone, even though there's like 8 other people in the server. If you want to interact with people, this game might not be for you. But this game can provide some decently funny and weird moments. I'd recommend this game if you just want to play a more low-key, chill Battlegrounds game where 99% of the players aren't that skilled.
I was thinking about why so many in the radical left participate in speed running.
Now this is an interesting one. Sonic Showdown doesn't have Battlegrounds in the title, but it pretty much is one. It is one. Sonic Showdown is just fun, plain and simple. There's multiple different Sonic characters to choose from, and they're all pretty okay to use. The one thing about the game that you probably won't like at first, or ever, is the jankiness of it. It is anything but smooth. If you're coming from a game like The Strongest Battlegrounds, you're gonna have some trouble here. When I first tried it, I was like, what the hell is this crap? But then I kept playing it, and I really warmed up to it. It's just fun to turn your brain off and mess around here. I haven't gotten around to trying every character yet, but currently Shadow is an easy favorite. It looks cool, and you can drive your motorcycle into people to do combos. I need nothing else. Sometimes we need to judge games based off of how fun they are, and this is the case with Sonic Showdown. The animations are cool, but they don't flow very well. The sound effect work could be better, but even with those issues, the potential to have fun is massive. This is a great game for nerdy and casual Sonic fans to just hang out. Go give it a try. I've had a lot of people recommend this game to me, and now I see why. This game is clean. We haven't had an actual good Naruto Battlegrounds style game ever since the trend started, which makes no sense, but I'm glad I can say we finally have one. How did the second most iconic anime of all time only get a good Battlegrounds game now? And if I see anyone comment, One Piece is more iconic than Naruto, you're banned. Nobody says Gum Gum Pistol in real life. Get the glaze no me fruit out of your mouth and wake up to reality. Chakra Battlegrounds has to be one of the smoothest Battlegrounds games out right now. And I know I've said this a lot, but that's because it's true. So many more games are getting smoother, which is a really good thing. This game only has one character right now, which I can only assume is the real reason that it's not as popular as it could be. I can tell that lots of attention to detail and time is being put into this. The gameplay just has so much life to it, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that's the right word to describe it with, but it feels like there's always something going on. The attacks string together really well, there's lots of different combos and variations of moves you can do, and there's a few other things that make it more enjoyable. This game copied The Strongest Battlegrounds' wall combos, which is fine because it's a good mechanic. If you copy a mechanic, you should at least make it good, and it's definitely good in this game. Trash can throwing is also present, but you won't find yourself using it as much as you would in The Strongest Battlegrounds, as trash cans are a lot more uncommon. And probably my favorite mechanic is the most simple one. When you're running around the map, after a few seconds, it'll make you do the Naruto ninja run. This is just so satisfying. I could run around the map for 10 minutes straight and not get bored, just doing this. You could either fight or just ninja run around everyone and observe what's going on. It makes you feel a little more free. I think it's because we're too used to having to walk forever to reach the other side of the map in other games. So this is just a nice way to change the normal feeling. This game is not perfect though. The screen shake is borderline unbearable, even with the reduced screen shake setting enabled. I swear, this reduced screen shake setting is in almost every Battlegrounds game and it does nothing. I can barely tell what's happening, especially when there's multiple people around me. The screen shake gets so bad that you just want to get the hell out of there so you can recuperate and actually get your eyes on your opponent. The effects are really nice, but this game kind of suffers from the same problem as Heroes Battlegrounds, just on a lower scale. Some of the effects are just too big and too flashy. This is more of a personal nitpick than a big problem with the game, as many people don't find this to be an actual issue, but it's just something to keep in mind. Just a little thing to include here is the fact that this game is actually running on R15 and not R6. It's the same as Ultimate Battlegrounds, except I don't think you can use layered clothing. At least we get the 8K resolution peanut, that's all I care about.
How does it feel to be looked down upon by a human?
This is an odd one. I got to try this game a long time before it actually came out, and my first impression of it was actually pretty good. Now that it's actually released, I think it's way better. It's really smooth, and my favorite part about it is the movesets. Some of the moves feel so satisfying to land and use, standouts being basically the first character's entire moveset, and the second character's first move, which is a teleporting attack that gives you time to react and block it before it actually lands. It's a really good way of balancing an attack that seems overpowered on paper. Look, as I go on and on, this is gonna sound more like corpo garbage speak, but trust me, I have actual faith in this. The destructible environment is actually really immersive. The trees have many parts and are really big, so any destruction-based attack has a chance of separating you and your opponent. Like, the trees will actually just fall on you, all over you, and cover a decent radius. So you're like trying to scramble to get out and see where your opponent is so they don't find you first. This happens a lot, and it's a good break from the action. You're going to find yourself ending up in the forest part of the map pretty often, so it's something you have to be wary of. The terrain is also fun to fight on, as there's lots of low and high level hills that are actually easy to access. Like, it's pretty fun just jumping on a ledge that's slightly higher, just so you can throw your opponent off. It's sort of like Minecraft. The map is definitely one of this game's strong suits. The weird part about this game is the ultimate movesets. They're a split between cool and lame attacks. The first character has this attack, then also has this within the same moveset. The second character can throw a literal sun at you, and then it has this puny thing within the same moveset. It's kind of weird, but at least we can get some funny moments from some of the moves. One last thing I want to quickly mention is the movement/combat system. I find it to be a little bit similar to Ultimate Battlegrounds. The ragdolling and other movements are made in a way where your combos will almost always be accurate, and you don't have to worry about getting unlucky with a ragdoll or an attack. It's not exactly the same or as smooth, but you can definitely draw some similarities. I think this game isn't as popular as other Battlegrounds games simply due to the fact that it's a 7 Deadly Sins game, and when you pair it with the thing I said about the Ultimates. When's the last time you've heard someone talk about 7 Deadly Sins in a positive manner? All I've heard for the past few years is 7 Deadly Frames. How unfortunate. So that's pretty much all I have for now. And it's only 4 games, but I think 4 games is plenty because nobody needs to be playing 4 games at the same time. Unless you're just never satisfied. So go try them. Have a nice day.